I sit in the cramped back office of Riverside Grill, the family restaurant I co-own, with my brother Marcus. He slides financial papers across the desk, his expression grave. "We're hemorrhaging money, Ernest. The numbers don't lie. We need to shut down before we lose everything Dad left us." I stare at the red-inked ledgers, my heart sinking. 23 years since Dad opened this place, 15 since he died, and left it to both sons equally. Marcus produces transfer documents. "Sign over your 50%. I'll handle the closure and debts." The weight of Marcus's words settles on my shoulders like a heavy winter coat as I watch him gather the papers with practiced efficiency. Something about his urgency doesn't sit right with me, but I can't pinpoint exactly what. He's my older brother, the one who taught me how to flip burgers when I was 12, who stood beside me at Dad's funeral, promising we'd keep his dream alive together. "Give me a few days to think about it," I tell him, pushing the transfer documents back across the worn wooden desk. This is a big decision. Marcus's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "Ernest, we don't have days. The creditors are breathing down our necks. Every day we wait costs us more money." After he leaves, I find myself wandering through the restaurant during the lunch rush. The dining room buzzes with energy as servers weave between tables packed with customers. Sarah, our longest-serving waitress, approaches me with a smile that reaches her eyes. "Busy day today, Ernest. Third one this week," she says, balancing a tray of steaming plates. "We're actually running low on the salmon special. Diego might need to 86 it before dinner service." I watch her hurry toward a table of businessmen, their conversation animated as they dig into their meals. The contradiction strikes me like a physical blow. If we're losing money, why does the dining room look like this? Why are we running out of our most expensive entree? In the kitchen, Diego wipes sweat from his forehead as he expedites orders with the precision of a conductor leading an orchestra. Steam rises from the grill where 3 cooks work in synchronized movements, their knives dancing across cutting boards in rhythmic patterns. "Hey, boss," Diego calls out when he spots me. "We're gonna need another case of ribeyes for the weekend. Sold through our normal order faster than expected." "How much faster?" I ask, genuinely curious. "About 30% more than last month. Could have sold even more if we hadn't run out Saturday night." He turns back to the grill, calling out ticket numbers to his team. I make my way to the bar, where Jake polishes glasses, while 3 customers nurse their drinks during the afternoon lull. Behind him, bottles of premium liquor catch the light streaming through the front windows. When did we upgrade to top-shelf spirits? "Jake, how's business been lately?" I ask, settling onto a bar stool. His face lights up with genuine enthusiasm. "Outstanding, actually. We just finished a catering order for 200 people at the Martinez wedding reception. Biggest single order we've ever done." He reaches under the bar and produces a thick folder. "Take a look at these receipts from the past month. The private party bookings alone are keeping us busy every weekend." I flip through the papers, my confusion deepening with each page. Wedding receptions, corporate events, birthday celebrations. The numbers don't match anything Marcus showed me earlier. Each receipt shows substantial profits, not the devastating losses my brother described. "Has Marcus seen these?" I ask, trying to keep my voice casual. Jake nods enthusiastically. "Oh, yeah, he collects all the event receipts personally. Says he needs them for tax purposes or something." The first seed of doubt takes root in my chest. I spend the rest of the afternoon observing details I'd previously overlooked. The new commercial dishwasher, humming efficiently in the back. The recently installed point-of-sale system that tracks every transaction with digital precision. The fresh coat of paint in the dining room that brightened the atmosphere just last month. When did Marcus authorize these improvements? More importantly, how did we afford them if we're supposedly bleeding money? That evening, I sit alone in the restaurant after closing, surrounded by the familiar smells of grilled onions and fresh bread. The silence amplifies my growing unease. I think about Dad's voice echoing through these same walls, teaching me the importance of honest bookkeeping and treating customers like family. A successful restaurant tells its story through happy customers and honest numbers. He used to say, while reviewing the daily receipts, "Never lie to yourself about either one." I walk to the office and open the filing cabinet where we keep important documents. Marcus always handles the mail, sorting through vendor bills and correspondence before I see any of it. When was the last time I reviewed our actual financial statements? The realization hits me with uncomfortable clarity. I've been trusting Marcus to handle the business side while I focused on operations and customer service. But what if my trust was misplaced? I dig deeper into the filing cabinet, searching for recent bank statements or accounting reports. Most folders contain routine vendor invoices and employee schedules, but one folder catches my attention. It's labeled Financial Correspondence in Marcus's handwriting, but when I open it, I find only a handful of utility bills. Where are the monthly statements from our accounting firm? Where are the tax documents and profit-loss reports that any legitimate business generates? My hands shake slightly as I realize Marcus has been intercepting our mail for months, maybe longer. The financial papers he showed me today could have come from anywhere. They might not even represent our actual business performance. The doubt that started as a whisper now roars in my ears. My own brother, the person I trusted with our father's legacy, might be lying to my face about the restaurant we built together. The thought makes me nauseous, but I can't ignore the evidence mounting around me. Tomorrow, I'm going to find out the truth. I barely sleep that night, my mind racing through possibilities I don't want to consider. By 7 in the morning, I'm already researching independent accounting firms on my laptop, looking for someone who can conduct a discreet financial review without alerting Marcus to my suspicions. Patricia Williams, certified public accountant, operates a small practice specializing in forensic accounting for family-owned businesses. Her website mentions experience with embezzlement cases and financial fraud investigation. When I call her office, her receptionist schedules an appointment for that afternoon. Patricia's office sits in a converted Victorian house downtown, its professional atmosphere softened by warm lighting and comfortable furniture. She's a woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes and graying hair pulled back in a practical bun. Her handshake is firm, her manner direct but compassionate. "Tell me about your concerns," she says, settling behind her desk with a notepad. I explain the situation as objectively as possible, describing Marcus's financial claims and my own observations about the restaurant's apparent success. Patricia listens without interruption, occasionally making notes or asking clarifying questions. "I need to review your actual financial records," she says when I finish. "Bank statements, credit card processing reports, vendor invoices, tax returns. Everything Marcus has been handling." That's the problem. He's been collecting all our financial correspondence. I don't have access to most of those documents. Patricia nods knowingly. That's actually a red flag in itself. In legitimate business partnerships, both owners should have equal access to financial information. She opens a drawer and produces several forms. "If you're listed as an authorized signatory on the business accounts, I can request statements directly from your bank." The next few hours feel surreal, as I provide Patricia with account numbers and authorization codes. She explains that a preliminary review will take 2 days, but red flags usually become apparent within the first few hours of investigation. "I'll start with your primary business checking account," she says, logging into the bank's business portal. "Let's see what story your transactions tell." I return to the restaurant for the dinner shift, trying to act normal while my stomach churns with anxiety. Marcus seems unusually attentive, asking about my mood and commenting on how tired I look. His concern feels performative, like he's playing a role rather than expressing genuine care. "You're not having second thoughts about closing, are you?" he asks during a quiet moment between dinner rushes. "Because delay just makes everything harder for both of us." "I'm processing a lot right now," I tell him honestly. Losing Dad's restaurant isn't something I can decide overnight. His expression hardens almost imperceptibly. Dad would understand that sometimes you have to cut your losses. He was practical about business decisions. That night, I stay late to review employee schedules and vendor deliveries tasks Marcus typically handles. Sarah approaches me as I'm calculating labor costs for the week. Ernest, can I ask you something? She glances around to make sure we're alone. Is everything okay with the business? Marcus has been asking us to collect cash payments for some orders, instead of running them through the register. He says it's for tax purposes, but it seems unusual. My blood runs cold. What kind of cash payments? Catering deposits mostly. Private party bookings where customers pay in advance. He's been taking those payments directly, instead of processing them through our normal system. She fidgets with her apron strings. It's probably nothing, but Dad always taught us that all money should go through proper channels. I thank Sarah for her honesty and assure her that I'm looking into our financial procedures. After she leaves, I sit alone in the empty dining room, staring at the framed photo of Dad that hangs near the entrance. His smile seems sadder tonight, like he knows his dream is being corrupted by one of his own sons. The next morning, Patricia calls with preliminary findings that confirm my worst fears. Ernest, you need to come to my office immediately. She says, her voice carefully controlled. We have a serious problem. I drive to her office through morning traffic, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly, my knuckles turn white. Patricia greets me with a grim expression and leads me to a conference room where financial documents are spread across a large table. I've reviewed 3 months of bank statements. She begins pointing to highlighted transactions. Your restaurant is not losing money. In fact, it's quite profitable. She shows me deposit records that paint a completely different picture than Marcus's doom and gloom narrative. Daily credit card processing amounts, cash deposits from the register, catering payments. The numbers are consistently strong, showing steady growth over the past year. But here's where it gets interesting. Patricia continues moving to a second set of papers. Look at these withdrawal patterns. She points to a series of transfers that occur every few weeks, always for substantial amounts. $5,000 here, $8,000 there, sometimes as much as $15,000 in a single transaction. These transfers are going to an external account, she explains. I trace the routing number. It belongs to a business called Bella Vista Boutique LLC. The room seems to tilt around me. Marcus's wife Jennifer owns a boutique. Then, we've found where your restaurant profits are going. Patricia's voice carries a mixture of professional satisfaction and personal sadness. Based on these patterns, I estimate your brother has diverted over $200,000 in the past 18 months alone. I stare at the evidence spread before me, feeling like I'm looking at my family through a shattered mirror. Every number represents money stolen from our father's legacy profits that should have been reinvested in the restaurant or distributed fairly between partners. There's more, Patricia says gently. I pulled last year's complete financial records. Your restaurant generated $360,000 in profit. That's not just successful, Ernest. That's exceptionally profitable for a family restaurant of your size. The betrayal cuts deeper than I imagined possible. Marcus didn't just lie about our financial situation. He systematically stole from our partnership while convincing me we were failing. He looked me in the eye yesterday and asked me to sign away my inheritance based on fabricated losses. What are my options? I ask, surprised by how steady my voice sounds. Patricia begins organizing the documents into neat piles. Legally, you have grounds for both criminal prosecution and civil recovery. But first, we need to document the full scope of the embezzlement. This investigation is just beginning. As I drive back to the restaurant, one thought echoes in my mind with crystalline clarity. My brother stole from our father's dream, and now I have to decide how far I'm willing to go to get it back. Patricia's investigation intensifies over the next 3 days, each revelation more damaging than the last. I meet her at a small coffee shop near the courthouse, away from prying eyes and familiar faces. She arrives carrying a thick manila folder and a laptop computer, her expression businesslike but sympathetic. I've traced the money trail to its destination, she says, opening the laptop to reveal a detailed financial analysis. Bella Vista Boutique has received 412 transfers from your restaurant account over the past 2 years. The amounts total $578,000. The number hits me like a physical blow. More than $500,000 diverted from our family business to fund Jennifer's luxury venture. I think about all the times Marcus complained about money being tight, all the equipment repairs we postponed, all the staff raises we couldn't afford. Look at this. Patricia continues, turning the screen toward me. Jennifer purchased the boutique building last year, using a cash down payment of $250,000. According to property records, that money came directly from a business account registered to your restaurant. She pulls up photographs from the boutique's social media accounts. Expensive fixtures, designer clothing racks, marble countertops, crystal chandeliers. Every luxurious detail funded by profits stolen from Riverside Grill. Jennifer's been advertising the boutique as her self-made success story, Patricia says with disgust. She even gave an interview to the local business journal about female entrepreneurship and independent wealth building. The hypocrisy makes me nauseous. While Jennifer posed for magazine photos in her stolen boutique, Marcus was pressuring me to abandon our father's restaurant because we supposedly couldn't pay our bills. Patricia shows me additional evidence that reveals the sophistication of their scheme. Marcus created fake vendor invoices for companies that don't exist, justifying large cash withdrawals as business expenses. He manipulated our credit card processing reports to hide cash transactions, skimming payments that should have been deposited to our business account. Here's something particularly clever. Patricia says, highlighting a series of monthly charges. Marcus has been paying Jennifer's boutique a monthly consulting fee for business advisory services, $2,500 every month for 2 years. There's no record of any actual consulting work being performed. I study the fabricated invoices, marveling at their professional appearance. Marcus invested significant time and effort into this deception, creating an entire system of false documentation to cover his tracks. The most troubling part, Patricia continues, is that Marcus has already contacted Greenfield Commercial Properties about listing your restaurant for sale. They're scheduled to conduct a property appraisal tomorrow afternoon. My heart stops. He can't sell the property without my signature. Actually, he can. Patricia's voice becomes grave. I reviewed your original partnership agreement. If one partner declares bankruptcy or financial inability to continue operations, the other partner can petition for emergency dissolution and asset liquidation. It's designed to protect viable businesses from being dragged down by failing partners. The elegant cruelty of Marcus's plan becomes clear. By convincing me to sign over my ownership stake, he eliminates the need for legal proceedings. If I refuse to sign, he can use his falsified financial records to claim I'm an incompetent partner, destroying the business through poor management. How long before he can force a sale? I ask. Based on the documentation timeline, possibly as early as next week. He's been building this case for months, Ernest. The fake losses, the manipulated books, the urgent pressure to make decisions. It's all designed to create a legal justification for taking complete control. Patricia closes the laptop and fixes me with a direct stare. There's something else you need to know. I did some additional research on Jennifer's boutique financing. She didn't just use restaurant money for the building purchase. She's been using your profits to fund inventory purchases, marketing campaigns, employee salaries, even her personal shopping expenses. She produces credit card statements showing thousands of dollars in charges to luxury retailers, expensive restaurants, and vacation resorts, all paid for with money stolen from Riverside Grill. This isn't just business embezzlement, Patricia explains. This is systematic theft designed to finance a lifestyle they couldn't otherwise afford. I think about Jennifer at family gatherings, showing off her designer purses and expensive jewelry, talking about her successful business venture. Every item she flaunted was purchased with money stolen from our father's legacy. What's our next move? I ask. Patricia checks her watch. We need to move quickly. I've prepared a comprehensive forensic analysis documenting every fraudulent transaction. Tomorrow, we'll file for an emergency injunction, preventing Marcus from selling or transferring any business assets. But first, we need to gather additional evidence. She explains that courts require overwhelming proof in family business disputes, especially when accusations involve criminal fraud. We need documentation that proves Marcus's intent to deceive, not just his manipulation of financial records. I want you to act normal around Marcus for the next 24 hours, Patricia advises. Don't let him know you're investigating. We need him to proceed with his original plan so we can document his fraudulent behavior in real time. That evening, I returned to the restaurant for the dinner shift, watching Marcus interact with staff and customers. His performance is flawless. He jokes with regular customers, compliments the kitchen staff, and discusses weekend catering bookings with genuine enthusiasm. No one would suspect he's planning to destroy this place for personal profit. During a quiet moment, he approaches me with contract papers and a pen. I've been thinking about our conversation. He says, his voice heavy with manufactured concern. Maybe we should go ahead and sign the transfer documents tonight. Get this difficult process behind us so we can both move forward. I look at the papers knowing they represent the final step in his elaborate theft. If I sign these documents, Marcus gains complete control of our father's restaurant and eliminates any evidence of his criminal behavior. Let me sleep on it one more night, I tell him. I'll give you an answer tomorrow. His smile falters for just a moment before returning to its practiced warmth. Of course. Take all the time you need. But I can see the calculation in his eyes. Time is running out for both of us, and tomorrow, one of us will win everything, while the other loses it all. As I drive home that night, I make a silent promise to our father. Tomorrow, the truth comes out, no matter what it costs our family. I arrive at Patricia's office early the next morning to find her already deep in analysis, surrounded by computer printouts and legal documents. Coffee stains mark her desk blotter, evidence of a sleepless night spent building our case. I've discovered something that changes everything, she says without preamble, gesturing for me to sit across from her cluttered desk. Marcus didn't just steal from the restaurant. He's been systematically manipulating your tax filings to hide the theft. She spreads tax returns across the desk, pointing to specific line items with a red pen. Look at these business expense deductions. Equipment purchases, contractor fees, marketing costs. I cross-referenced every claim with actual vendor records. 60% of these expenses are completely fabricated. The sophistication of the fraud astounds me. Marcus created phantom companies to generate false invoices, established fake business relationships to justify large payments, even filed fraudulent tax documents with the Internal Revenue Service. He's been using these fabricated expenses to reduce your reported profits, Patricia explains. That way, the restaurant appears marginally profitable on paper, while generating substantial unreported income that he diverts to Jennifer's boutique. She shows me bank records from Bella Vista Boutique, revealing even more disturbing patterns. Jennifer's business received payments from multiple shell companies that exist only on paper, creating a complex money laundering operation designed to obscure the source of stolen funds. This isn't amateur theft, Patricia continues. Marcus has been planning this operation for years. He established the shell companies, created the false vendor relationships, and built the documentation trail long before he started pressuring you to sell. My phone buzzes with a text message from Marcus. Family meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Mom's coming to help us work through this difficult decision. Please, bring the transfer papers. The message feels like a trap closing around me. Marcus is orchestrating a family intervention, using our elderly mother as emotional leverage to force my compliance. He knows I won't want to upset her with accusations of fraud and theft. He's accelerating his timeline. Patricia observes, reading the message over my shoulder. That suggests he's nervous about something. Maybe he suspects you're investigating. She opens another file folder, this one containing property records and mortgage documents. I found something else that's going to shock you. Marcus took out a second mortgage on the restaurant property 6 months ago, without your knowledge or consent. The papers show a loan for $150,000 secured against our building. According to the documents, both partners signed the mortgage application, but I have no memory of authorizing any such loan. He forged your signature, Patricia says grimly. I compared it to your actual signature from the partnership agreement. The handwriting analysis is conclusive. I stare at the forged signature, marveling at its accuracy. Marcus practiced my handwriting until he could replicate it convincingly enough to fool bank officials and mortgage brokers. Where did the mortgage money go, I ask. Patricia produces bank statements, showing the loan proceeds were immediately transferred to Bella Vista Boutique for what the records describe as business expansion and inventory investment. Jennifer used stolen money and fraudulent loans to double the size of her boutique, adding a second floor and expanding into luxury accessories. There's more, Patricia says, her voice becoming even more serious. I investigated your mother's financial situation as part of this analysis. She mentioned to you that she invested her retirement savings in a promising local business, correct? I nod, remembering Mom's excitement about supporting a successful female entrepreneur in our community. Ernest, your mother invested her entire retirement portfolio in Jennifer's boutique expansion. $48,000 from her pension fund, believing she was supporting an independent businesswoman's success story. The revelation hits me like a sledgehammer to the chest. Marcus didn't just steal from our partnership. He manipulated our own mother into funding his wife's fraudulent business with her life savings money she needs for medical care and basic living expenses in her retirement years. Mom doesn't know the boutique was funded with stolen money. I say more to myself than to Patricia. No. And based on the boutique's actual financial performance, she's likely to lose most of her investment. Jennifer's business is essentially a front for money laundering. It doesn't generate legitimate profits sufficient to repay investors or sustain operations. Patricia shows me Jennifer's real business records, obtained through her forensic investigation. Bella Vista Boutique loses money every month, despite its luxurious appearance. Customer traffic is minimal, inventory, turnover is abysmal, and operating expenses far exceed sales revenue. The business survives only because of continuous infusions of money stolen from Riverside Grill. Your mother's retirement investment is subsidizing Jennifer's shopping addiction and lifestyle preferences, Patricia explains. The boutique isn't a real business. It's an expensive hobby funded by theft and fraud. I think about Mom's pride in supporting what she believed was a young woman's entrepreneurial success. She talked about Jennifer's business acumen and independence, never knowing she was actually funding a criminal conspiracy that stole from her own son. What happens at tomorrow's family meeting, I ask. Patricia opens her laptop and shows me a detailed presentation she's prepared. Financial charts, bank records, property documents, forensic analysis. Everything needed to prove Marcus's guilt beyond any reasonable doubt. We're going to give them a different kind of family meeting than they're expecting, she says with grim satisfaction. Marcus thinks he's cornering you into signing away your inheritance. Instead, he's walking into a comprehensive presentation of his criminal behavior. She explains our strategy for tomorrow's confrontation. I'll arrive at the scheduled time with Patricia and our complete evidence package. We'll let Marcus begin his rehearsed presentation about the restaurant's supposed financial crisis, then systematically dismantle his lies with documented proof. Fair warning, Patricia says, as we finish reviewing our materials. This is going to devastate your family. Your mother will learn that Marcus manipulated her into funding a criminal enterprise with her retirement savings. The emotional impact will be significant for everyone involved. That night, I sit in the empty restaurant after closing, surrounded by 23 years of family memories. Photos of Dad with regular customers line the walls. Awards from the local Chamber of Commerce recognize our community contributions. Everything Marcus is destroying for personal profit. Tomorrow, our family civil war begins in earnest. But tonight, I'm saying goodbye to the last vestiges of trust between brothers who once promised to honor their father's legacy together. The war for Dad's restaurant starts tomorrow, and only one of us will be left standing when it ends. I arrive at Patricia's office at 8 in the morning, 3 hours before our appointment with Marcus and Mom. Patricia has transformed her conference room into a war room, with financial documents organized in precise stacks and a presentation queued up on her laptop. I've contacted David Thompson, a family law attorney, who specializes in partnership disputes. She tells me, while reviewing our evidence one final time, he'll be joining us this morning to explain your legal options. David arrives 30 minutes later, a tall man with silver hair and the bearing of someone accustomed to difficult family situations. He reviews Patricia's forensic analysis with practiced efficiency, occasionally asking pointed questions about specific transactions or timeline details. This is one of the most comprehensive embezzlement schemes I've seen in a family business, he says finally. Marcus has committed multiple felonies: wire fraud, tax evasion, forgery, money laundering, and elder financial abuse regarding your mother's retirement investment. He explains that the evidence Patricia assembled meets the threshold for criminal prosecution, not just civil recovery. The district attorney's office would likely pursue charges if presented with this documentation. However, David continues, criminal prosecution takes years and provides no guarantee of financial recovery. Civil litigation offers faster resolution and better prospects for recovering stolen assets. He outlines our options: file criminal complaints and wait for the justice system to slowly grind through the case, pursue civil litigation to freeze assets and force repayment, or attempt to resolve the matter privately through direct confrontation and negotiation. Given that your mother's retirement funds are at risk, I recommend an aggressive approach designed to recover assets quickly, David advises. We'll demand immediate repayment, asset forfeiture, and Marcus's complete withdrawal from restaurant operations. Patricia has prepared a comprehensive presentation that will walk through every aspect of Marcus's fraud, starting with the fabricated financial crisis and ending with the theft of our mother's retirement savings. The evidence is overwhelming, the documentation irrefutable. I want to be absolutely certain about something, I tell them both. Once we confront Marcus with this evidence, there's no going back. Our relationship as brothers ends permanently. David nods gravely. Family business disputes rarely end with reconciliation. The betrayal cuts too deep, the financial damage too severe. You need to accept that this confrontation will permanently destroy your relationship with Marcus. Patricia adds her own perspective, shaped by years of investigating family fraud cases. In my experience, embezzlement is rarely a single bad decision. It's a pattern of choices that reveals fundamental character flaws. Marcus didn't make one mistake. He planned and executed a systematic theft operation over multiple years. She shows me a timeline of Marcus's fraudulent activities, starting with small cash diversions 3 years ago and escalating to major asset transfers and mortgage fraud. The progression reveals careful planning and deliberate criminal intent. People don't accidentally steal $500,000, Patricia observes. Marcus made hundreds of individual decisions to betray your trust and steal from your family's legacy. I spend the next hour reviewing testimony from restaurant employees gathered discreetly over the past few days. Sarah documented instances where Marcus collected cash payments off the books. Diego remembered equipment purchases that never appeared in our official records. Jake provided receipts from catering events that generated profits Marcus never reported. The staff testimony creates a clear pattern of systematic theft and deception. Marcus wasn't just manipulating financial records. He was actively stealing money in real time while looking me in the eye and complaining about our supposed financial struggles. There's one more thing you need to know, Patricia says, as we prepare for the afternoon confrontation. I traced some additional financial records this morning. Marcus has already transferred significant funds to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. The revelation adds urgency to our situation. Marcus isn't just planning to force a restaurant sale. He's preparing to flee the country with stolen money if his original plan fails. How much money? I ask. At least $200,000 in transfers over the past 6 months. all structured to avoid federal reporting requirements. Patricia's expression hardens. He's been planning an exit strategy in case his embezzlement was discovered. David checks his watch and begins packing legal documents into his briefcase. We need to move immediately to freeze all accounts and prevent additional asset transfers. This afternoon's confrontation isn't just about exposing his crimes. It's about stopping a fleeing felon. As we drive to the restaurant for our family meeting, I reflect on how completely I misjudged my own brother. The person I trusted with our father's legacy spent years systematically destroying it for personal profit. He manipulated our elderly mother into funding his criminal enterprise with her retirement savings. He forged documents, filed false tax returns, and established offshore accounts to hide stolen money. The brother I thought I knew never actually existed. Marcus has been playing a role for years, pretending to care about our family business while methodically looting it for his own benefit. In 30 minutes, the performance ends, and the real Marcus finally reveals himself. I'm ready for whatever comes next, because the alternative is watching him complete the destruction of everything Dad built with his own hands. I arrive at the restaurant's private dining room at exactly 2 o'clock, followed by Patricia carrying her laptop and David with his briefcase full of legal documents. Mom is already seated at the round table near the window, her gray hair neatly styled and her hands folded in her lap. She smiles warmly when she sees me completely unaware of the storm about to break over our family. Marcus stands near the coffee station arranging papers with theatrical precision. He's dressed in his best suit, playing the role of a concerned business owner forced to make difficult decisions. The transfer documents sit prominently on the table, along with a pen and the fabricated financial reports that support his lies. "Ernest, thanks for coming," Marcus says, his voice heavy with manufactured concern. "I know this is difficult for all of us, but we need to face reality about Dad's restaurant." He begins his rehearsed presentation, explaining to Mom how the restaurant has been struggling financially despite our best efforts. He references the fake reports, pointing to fabricated losses and invented debt obligations. His performance is polished, convincing, designed to generate sympathy and support for his proposed solution. "The numbers don't lie," he says, sliding the financial documents toward Mom. "We're losing money every month. The only responsible choice is to close before we destroy Dad's legacy completely." Mom studies the papers with growing sadness, her eyes welling with tears as she absorbs what she believes is the failure of her late husband's dream. "I had no idea things were this bad," she says softly. Marcus places a comforting hand on her shoulder, playing the role of the dutiful son protecting the family from financial ruin. "Ernest's been in denial about our situation. That's why I asked you to come today. Maybe you can help him understand that holding on to false hope only makes things worse." "Actually, Marcus, I think it's time everyone understood what's really been happening here," I say, standing up and gesturing for Patricia to join us at the table. Marcus's expression falters for a fraction of a second, before returning to its practiced concern. "Ernest, what's this about? Who is this woman?" "This is Patricia Williams, a forensic accountant I hired to review our actual financial records," I explain. "Patricia, please show my family what you discovered." Patricia opens her laptop and activates the presentation she prepared. The first slide displays our restaurant's real financial performance: $360,000 in profit last year, consistent monthly growth, strong cash flow, and excellent customer retention. "Your restaurant isn't failing," Patricia announces matter-of-factly. "It's one of the most successful family establishments in the city." Mom looks confused, glancing between the fabricated reports Marcus provided and Patricia's data. "I don't understand. These numbers are completely different." "That's because Marcus has been stealing money from the restaurant and lying about your financial performance." I say the words feeling surreal as they leave my mouth. Marcus leaps to his feet, his mask finally slipping. "That's absolutely ridiculous, Ernest. You're making wild accusations based on some stranger's analysis." Patricia advances to the next slide, showing bank records with highlighted transfers. "Marcus, These records show systematic diversion of restaurant profits to Bella Vista Boutique. $578,000 over 2 years. This is insane. Marcus sputters, but I notice sweat beading on his forehead. Those transfers were legitimate business expenses. Business expenses for what? Patricia asks coolly. Jennifer's boutique rent. Her inventory purchases, her personal shopping trips to luxury retailers. She clicks through slides showing credit card statements, property purchases, and mortgage documents. Each piece of evidence hammers another nail into Marcus's defense. Mom stares at the screen in growing horror as the scope of the betrayal becomes clear. Marcus forged Ernest's signature on a mortgage application to steal an additional $150,000. Patricia continues. That money also went directly to fund Jennifer's boutique expansion. Stop this, Marcus demands, his voice rising. You're destroying our family with these lies. I'm not the one who destroyed our family, I reply. That was you when you decided to steal from Dad's restaurant and lie to everyone about it. Mom finally finds her voice, though it trembles with emotion. Marcus, please tell me this isn't true. Please tell me you didn't steal from your own family. Instead of answering, Marcus attempts to deflect blame. Ernest's been an absent partner for years. I've been carrying the entire burden of running this place, while he focuses on trivial operational details. I deserve compensation for my extra work. Patricia advances to her final slides, the ones that will devastate Mom completely. Mrs. Rodriguez, I need to tell you something about your investment in Jennifer's boutique. My investment? Mom looks puzzled. What does that have to do with the restaurant? Your retirement money didn't fund a legitimate business venture, Patricia explains gently. You invested in a money laundering operation designed to hide stolen restaurant profits. The color drains from Mom's face as the full implications sink in. Her retirement savings, her financial security, her pride in supporting a young female entrepreneur. All of it based on lies and funded by money stolen from her own son. $48,000. Patricia continues. Your entire pension fund investment is subsidizing criminal activity. Mom turns to stare at Marcus, her expression cycling through disbelief, heartbreak, and finally devastating comprehension. You took my retirement money. You made me an accomplice in stealing from Ernest. Mom, it's not what it looks like, Marcus says desperately. I can explain everything. Explain how you stole $500,000 from our family business, I ask. Explain how you manipulated our 72-year-old mother into funding your criminal conspiracy. Marcus's composure finally cracks completely. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. Jennifer's business needed capital to succeed. I was going to pay everything back once the boutique became profitable. Jennifer's business loses money every month, Patricia states flatly. It's not a real enterprise. It's an expensive hobby funded by theft. The room falls silent, except for the sound of Mom's quiet crying. Tears stream down her face as she realizes her own son manipulated her into participating in the destruction of her late husband's legacy. How could you do this to us? She whispers. How could you steal from your own family and lie about it for years? Marcus opens his mouth to respond, but before he can speak, Mom suddenly gasps and clutches her chest. Her face turns pale as she struggles to breathe, overwhelmed by the emotional shock of learning about Marcus's betrayal. Mom. I rush to her side as she slumps forward in her chair, the full weight of the revelation too much for her to bear. Marcus backs toward the door, panic replacing his earlier bravado. I need to get Jennifer. I need to explain this to her before you people destroy everything. But David steps forward, blocking his exit. Marcus Rodriguez, you're not going anywhere. We have a court order freezing all your assets pending investigation of financial crimes. As Mom struggles to recover from her emotional collapse, I realize that our family meeting has become ground zero for the complete destruction of everything we once held sacred. The brother I trusted betrayed us all, and now we're left to pick up the pieces of a shattered legacy. The confrontation is over, but the real battle for justice is just beginning. Mom recovers her composure after a few minutes of deep breathing, though her hands continue to shake as she processes the magnitude of Marcus's betrayal. David helps her to a more comfortable chair, while Patricia organizes the evidence we've presented. Marcus slumps against the wall, his earlier confidence completely evaporated. "What happens now?" Mom asks, her voice barely above a whisper. David explains our legal strategy with professional clarity. "We've already filed emergency motions to freeze all accounts associated with Marcus and Jennifer. The court granted temporary restraining orders, preventing any further asset transfers or property sales." He produces legal documents that effectively strip Marcus of any authority over restaurant operations or business assets. Until the investigation concludes and stolen funds are recovered, Marcus cannot access company accounts, make business decisions, or dispose of any property connected to the fraud. The district attorney's office will likely pursue criminal charges based on the evidence Patricia assembled. David continues. Wire fraud, money laundering, elder financial abuse, tax evasion, and forgery all carry significant prison sentences. Marcus finally speaks, his voice hollow. "I never meant for it to go this far. Jennifer's business was supposed to succeed. I was going to pay everything back." "You stole over $500,000, I reply. "You manipulated our mother into funding your criminal conspiracy with her retirement savings. You forged documents and filed false tax returns. How exactly did you plan to fix that?" Patricia shows him bank records revealing the offshore transfers to the Cayman Islands. "You were preparing to flee the country with stolen money. That's not someone planning to make restitution." The evidence of flight preparation destroys any pretense that Marcus intended to resolve the situation honorably. He systematically looted our family business while planning an escape route if his crimes were discovered. Over the next several weeks, the legal machinery grinds into motion with surprising efficiency. Federal investigators freeze Jennifer's boutique assets and seize properties purchased with stolen money. The IRS launches an audit of our restaurant's tax filings and Jennifer's business records. Bank officials cooperate fully with recovery efforts, providing detailed transaction histories that trace every stolen dollar. Mom moves in with me temporarily, while her financial security is restored through asset recovery proceedings. She struggles with depression and embarrassment about her unwitting participation in Marcus's scheme, but she gradually finds peace in knowing the truth finally came to light. "I keep thinking about your father," she tells me one evening as we review restoration plans for the restaurant. "He always said that honest work builds honest relationships. Marcus forgot that lesson somewhere along the way." Patricia becomes our permanent financial advisor, implementing new controls and oversight procedures to prevent future fraud. She restructures our accounting systems to ensure transparency and accountability in every transaction. "Trust, but verify," she says while training me on the new financial reporting systems. "You learned an expensive lesson about blind trust in family business partnerships." The restaurant thrives under honest management, freed from the burden of supporting Jennifer's money laundering operation. Staff morale improves dramatically when they learn their workplace was saved from criminal destruction. Regular customers express relief that their favorite dining establishment will continue serving the community. Sarah approaches me one afternoon with tears in her eyes. "I was so worried we'd lose our jobs when Marcus was talking about closing. Thank you for fighting to save this place." Diego organizes a staff celebration when the court officially transfers Marcus's ownership stake to me, eliminating any possibility of his future involvement. "Your dad would be proud," he tells me while we prepare for the evening rush. "You honored his legacy by standing up for what's right." The criminal trial proceeds smoothly, with overwhelming evidence ensuring Marcus's conviction on multiple felony charges. He receives a 7-year prison sentence and is ordered to pay full restitution plus penalties. Jennifer's boutique is liquidated to satisfy judgment debts, with proceeds distributed to victims of the fraud. Mom's retirement funds are fully restored through asset recovery, allowing her to maintain her independence and dignity in her golden years. She finds new purpose volunteering with a local organization that helps elderly victims of financial fraud. I want other families to recognize the warning signs I missed, she explains. Maybe my experience can prevent someone else from being manipulated by people they trust. The restaurant prospers under honest leadership, generating legitimate profits that fund equipment, upgrade staff bonuses, and community charitable contributions. We establish a scholarship program in Dad's memory, supporting local students pursuing careers in culinary arts or small business management. 1 year after the confrontation, I stand in the dining room during a busy Friday evening, watching families enjoy meals together at tables where my own family once shared Sunday dinners. The photos of Dad still line the walls, but now they represent justice preserved rather than legacy betrayed. Patricia joins me for our monthly financial review, her reports now showing consistent profitability and sustainable growth. You saved more than a business, she tells me. You saved the idea that honest work deserves honest reward. The scars from Marcus's betrayal will never completely heal, but they've been replaced by something stronger. The knowledge that standing up for truth and justice, even when it costs everything, ultimately preserves what matters most. Dad's restaurant continues serving the community he loved, managed with the integrity he taught us, protected by the courage he would have demanded when faced with such profound betrayal. The lesson I learned transcends business or family relationships. Sometimes protecting what we love requires confronting those who would destroy it, even when those people share our blood and our history. True loyalty means defending shared values and principles, not enabling criminal behavior or tolerating systematic betrayal. Justice prevailed because we chose truth over comfort, evidence over emotion, and integrity over false family harmony. The restaurant Dad built with his own hands continues to thrive because we refused to let it die quietly to protect a criminal's reputation. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted completely was betraying you behind your scenes? How did you find the courage to confront them when the truth came to light? Share your story in the comments below, and let's support each other through these difficult experiences. If this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up to help others who might be facing similar family betrayals find hope and guidance. Subscribe to hear more stories about standing up for what's right, even when it costs everything. And please share this with anyone who might need to know that justice is possible, even when it feels impossible. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember that protecting what matters most sometimes requires the courage to lose everything else in the process. Stay strong, stay honest, and never let anyone convince you that their crimes are your responsibility to cover up.